Hello aspirants, I welcome you all to Daily Current Affairs video of Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 20th of June 2025. Now displayed here are the list of articles that we are going to discuss today. In this first article, we'll be discussing about the geography of Croatia. In the second article, we'll be discussing about the anti-venom drug that has been recently identified for the Russell's viper snake. In the third article, we'll be discussing in detail about NATO from the prelims perspective. In the fourth article, we'll be discussing about what is invasive alien species and how trade contributed to invasive alien species and what can be done. And in the final article, we'll be discussing in detail about the decisions that has been taken in the United Nations Ocean Conference, which concluded very recently. So we'll be seeing the fourth and fifth article from the mains perspective. So without any delay, let us get into the article discussion. Now look at this news article. The news is that India and Croatia to make long-term plans for defense cooperation. Apart from that, India has said that it will enhance investment into Croatia's critical industries like pharmacy, agriculture, IT, clean technology, digital technology, and semiconductors. So this is what the article is about. From the prelims perspective, we have to learn about where exactly Croatia is located and certain physical features of it. So let us start with the exact location as well as the borders of this particular country. So in this map, you can see where exactly Croatia is located. It is in the Europe, to be specific in the southeastern Europe, in the Balkan Peninsula. So in the north, it is covered by Slovakia and Hungary. In the east, it is covered by Serbia. In the south, it is covered by Bosnia and Herzegovina and Montenegro, and in the west it is covered by the Adriatic Sea. And talking about its capital, it is nothing but Zagreb. It is actually an inland city in the northwestern Croatia, and it actually sits right on the river Sava. Now looking into the terrain features, see the Dinaric Alp, it is actually a mountain that actually runs parallel to the coast, and just to the east there is Pannonian plain, and it has extensive of karst topography. So if you know about karst topography, leave that in the comment section. Karst topography is nothing but a topography made up of soluble materials, for example like limestone, gypsum, and etc. So these topography or have a lot of characteristics of a cave, sinkhole, and etc. And a very good example for this is Plitvice Lake National Park. It is actually a UNESCO National Park, and it is known for karst hydrology classic. And talking about the Adriatic coast and islands, it is one of the Europe's most inundated coastlines, and it has more than 1,200 islands and islets. Here you can see the exact different islands which belongs to Croatia. Now moving on, let us look into major rivers of this particular country. First river is this Danube. It touches the eastern Croatia, second longest in Europe. And the very second important river is Sava. It flows through Zagreb, which is actually the capital of the particular country. Apart from this, there are rivers like Drava and Kupa. And talking about the neighborhood, it is part of Balkan, as I said earlier, and Central Europe, and it belongs to and it has membership with European Union, Eurozone, as well as Schengen, as well as it is a NATO member. It became NATO member in 2009, and it is a major Mediterranean tourist hub. So having all the exact features of a very perfect country, it actually acts as a gateway to Central Europe through Adriatic, and it is because of that reason itself it is strategically important for NATO. And there are a lot of major ports, as well as when we talk about the economy of the particular country, it is blue economy. As I said, there is a lot of tourism happening, there is a lot of port facilities, and it lies in the strategic position where it can transmit a lot of goods between different continents. And moving on, based on the things we have discussed, I have framed a prelims question for you. Let me read out the question. Croatia shares its borders with of the following countries. Here 5 options has been given. It is a very similar pattern of UPSC. Here the correct answer for the particular question is option B, 1, 2, 3 and 5. Austria is not an answer. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. The news is that IISc Bangalore-led study has found that 2 important drugs named Verespladib as well as Marimestat has been effective against Russell's viper venom. So they have not only been effective against this particular venom, but also neutralizes venom effects caused by regional snake population. So they have now asked for ICMR's collaboration to initiate human trial. If this particular drug is being successful, then we will be getting a very important drug for which we do not have a drug for a so long of time. So from the prelims perspective, let us learn certain important facts from this particular article. Now let us start with the basics about this Russell viper. This Russell's viper is one of the big four snakes in our country, and and it is one of the major cause of snake bite deaths in our country. So it is its bite is actually fatal in nature, and it has the venom which is injected by this particular snake. It has coagulopathic, which means the ability of the body to coagulate blood will disappear, which leads to intense bleeding. And there is hemotoxic, which is released by the snakes, as well as cytotoxic, which is against the living cells. The living cells will be targeted first. So those kinds of effects are being given by this particular venom, which is leading to death sooner or earlier. Now, moving on, we shall see about certain symptoms of this particular venom. As I said, it can cause internal bleeding, a lot of internal bleeding, uncontrollable bleeding. Then there is muscle tissue destruction, even renal or the kidney failure will be happening, and there will be intense pain, swelling, bleeding, and risk of organ failure. So these are all very important effects and symptoms of snake venom. Now, talking about their geographical distribution, they are seen across the Indian subcontinent, and their venom, it actually varies based on the diet, geography, and climate of that particular region. So you can use this as an example when it comes to biogeography in your mains examination. Now, moving on, we shall see about the venom composition. Now, we are learning about this venom composition because this drug has been developed based on this venom composition. So the first important protein is this PLA2. This PLA2, it causes inflammation and membrane damage. And the second important one is this SVMPS, which causes bleeding and tissue damage. So they have the following impacts. Now currently they have with the study, they have identified a particular drug called versapladib. Versapladib, it inhibits PLA2, as well as marimestat. It inhibits SVMPS. So if this is going to roll out, then we'll be having a very important drug for which we don't have a drug for longer period of time. So far we had conventional antivenom. It is standard but limited by venom variation. It may work or it may not work, which make the snake bite ultimately fatal in nature. Now, talking about their protection, how it is protected in our country, it is protected under Schedule 2 of Wildlife Protection Act 1972, and it has only moderate legal protection. For example, it requires, if you are going to capture or kill this particular snake, you require permission, and the handling, it is regulated for anti-venom protection. Now, based on the things I have discussed, I have given a prelims question for you. Here, the correct answer for the particular question is option B, Schedule 2. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This news article talks about a statement given by Russian President Mr. Putin. He has stated that NATO's rearmament is not a threat to Russia, and he has claimed for self-sufficiency in defense. So this particular statement has been given out by President of Russia after NATO members being decided to boost up their defense spending. So usually they spend up to 2% of their GDP towards the defense sector. Now they have decided to spend up to 5% of the GDP, which means they are going to increase the strength of a defense sector as a whole, right? So this will pose a very big challenge to Russia. However, Russian president has confirmed that this move will not be a threat to Russia because it is self-sufficiency in defense sector. So this is what the background of the article, but from the prelims perspective, we have to learn about what is NATO. So let us start with the basics about NATO. So what is the expansion of this term NATO? It is nothing but North Atlantic treaty organization. So as the name itself suggests, here you can see the members of the NATO. Here most of the countries, or almost all the countries, are members of Katpanira, part of Atlantic Ocean. So this way you can remember the member countries. Now talking about when it was founded on 4th April 1949 through the Washington Treaty, and its headquarters is currently in Brussels, which is in Belgium. And now the founding treaty is nothing but the North Atlantic Treaty, which is also known as the Washington Treaty. Now the members include 32. This is as of 2024. The current, the very recently added countries include Finland as well as Sweden. Now currently Ukraine is also asking for membership in NATO. Now talking about the official language, it is English and French. And the nature, what is the nature of this particular organization is military alliance for collective defense. So here comes this term, what is the meaning of collective defense? Imagine a country A, it is member of NATO, and this country A is facing threat from X. This X is not a member of NATO, and this X is actually threatening A with lot of war threats, but lot of internal security threats, so those kinds of things. So what happens is the NATO members, they will collectively defend a country A, and they will oppose this country X. So this is what they mean by collective defense. All the countries, if one country is in danger, all the countries will equally contribute towards the security of that particular country and safeguard it from the other country. So this is what it means by collective defense, and it is the nature of NATO. Now the purpose, as I said, is collective defense. This is under Article 5. See, currently UPSC is asking articles and all. For example, in the preliminary examination, we had Article 6 of Paris Agreement. So it is very important to know particular articles. That is why we have mentioned it. According to this Article 5 only, if attack on one is equal to attack on all. Okay, remember this. You can use it in your mains as well. Now moving on. Now, talking about certain other key facts, the funding is done by all the members, as I said. Priorly, they were funding up to 2% of GDP towards the defense sector. Now, currently, they have increased it to 5%. And US is the largest contributor when it comes to funding pattern. Now, they have played a very important role when it comes to military support to Ukraine. They are supporting Ukraine a lot. And in the eastern, as well as in the Eastern European deterrence and Arctic and cyber operations. And the very important thing that you have to remember is since 2022, they have declared Russia as a direct threat, which expands cyberspace and have expanded the cyberspace as well as hybrid warfare focus. So this is what the current status of NATO. Now moving on, we have to see what it is when it comes to India as well as NATO. India is actually not a member of NATO, but we have lot of limited engagement. India has maintained a strategic, autonomous as well as a balanced approach when it comes to NATO. And NATO also have a lot of interest growing in the Indo-Pacific region. For example, they even wanted to partner with Japan, Australia as well as South Korea, which shows the interest of NATO in Indo-Pacific region. As well as there is a lot of scope for future collaboration between India and NATO when it comes to cybersecurity as well as counter-terrorism, but not the military alliance. So this is how India has a very defined approach and a very limited approach when it comes to NATO. Now, based on the things we have discussed, I have framed a prelims question for you. Let me read out the question. Here, 4 statements has been given with respect to NATO, and you have to find the correct statement here. So here, the correct answer for the particular question is option B, 2 only. The second statement is alone correct, except that all other statements are incorrect. So with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now look at this news article. This news article talks about invasive alien species. First, let us understand about what is this invasive alien species, and then we shall learn about certain important facts given in the article. So let us start with the basics of invasive alien species. What is this IAS? So this invasive alien species, to be categorized by the name, there should be 2 important criteria met. First criteria is it should be non-native in nature. Second important thing is it should cause harm to that particular habitat. So only then they will be categorized as invasive alien species. And according to CBD, it tells a particular organism that arrive in a particular new region, survive there and thrive. So those kinds of organisms are categorized as invasive alien species. In India, it is actually the legal status is under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972. Now, moving on, we shall see about the ecological and economic impacts. When we talk about the ecological impacts, it is profound because they are going to alter the new in ecosystem itself. So, priorly, they will be in a different ecosystem and they will be arriving to a new ecosystem where there will be multiple species. So, while they enter, they will take up all other species space, leading to reduction of the native species first place. Secondly, there will be loss of predators. So these plants, they will be spreading all over the region, leaving no room or no space for other organisms to thrive, which actually feeds the goats will be feeding on those species, right? So there will be no predators if there is no grass. So those kinds of issues there, and it is one of five key drivers of biodiversity loss. When we talk about the economic loss, it leads to agriculture, forestry, as well as fisheries disruption. Now, according to IUCN Red List, 1 in 10 species they are threatened by invasive alien species, and 40% of the known animal extinction since 17th century is due to this invasive alien species. Now, moving on, we shall see about role of invasive alien species when it comes to trade. See, trade is the very important thing which led to invasive alien species, spread of invasive alien species. It has actually expanded from 5,700 to 34,000 trade pairs since 1948. Very important trade routes include India-Africa, India-South Africa trade. These routes, it opened a new gateway for the invasive alien species. For example, the gained African squirrel, it has been migrated from East Africa to Calicut in 1847. It is a very important example. Here you can see the image of it. Then this is Parthenium grass, which is actually a US wheat aid. It came to India in 1950s. Then tilapia for food, as well as now it is an invasive species. Then we have mosquito fish as well as guppies, which is actually a biocontrol, but now it is an invasive species. And we have biofouling as well as ballast water threats. So what is this ballast water? Ballast water is nothing but, the ships, they have a empty space in between to fill water to give that buoyance effect for that particular ship. So this water, it will be, imagine it, the ship is moving from Europe to India, then the water in Europe will be filled in this particular space. So what if the water filled contains a lot of microorganism or a lot of invasive species? So these ballast water, it will be released when they reach India, or in the midway they might change water in any particular port. So wherever they are just moving the invasive species from one place to another. So this is what the ballast water threat is about, and it is also an important reason for the invasive species spread. Now, moving on, as I said, they will be giving a lot of economic as well as ecological consequences. So, first important thing, as I already said, it is displacement of the native species, habitat destruction, and soil disruption. There will be transmitting a lot of disease, for example, the rat lungworm, and there will be trophic cascades. Here they are mentioning about the food chain disruption. When we talk about the economic consequences, 1 to 7.3 billion dollars has been lost in 60 years, past 60 years, and they have impacted different sectors. Now, the issue with this invasive species is that once they are uncontrollable, when they spread uncontrollably, now to control itself, we have to spend a lot of money, which is also a loss of resources, right? So, those kinds of threats are there. Now, we have to look into certain policy gaps in order to address this invasive alien species. So, we have to bring in a national invasive alien species database. and we have to even educate people about the invasive alien species. So a lot of people, they do not know it is a invasive species, and they feed on that species. So instead of doing that, when people are aware of it, they will be helping us to control it more efficiently. So we have to educate people, and for that we require a database with images, and we have to post import risk assessment. There should be post import risk assessment, and we have to check all the fragmented governance from the lower level to the upper level, and we have to increase the quarantine checks. So, based on the things we have discussed, I have framed a mains question for you. You can quickly read the question, write an answer, and post it in the comment section so that we can review your answer as well as your peers can review it. So, with these learned points, now let us move on to the next news article discussion. Now, look at this news article. This news article talks about the decision that has been taken in the third United Nations Ocean Conference that concluded very recently. So, this particular conference, it held in Nice, which is in France, from June 9 to 13th in 2025, very recently, and it is co-hosted by France as well as Costa Rica. The main focus is to accelerate implementation of SDG 14, which is nothing but life beyond water. So, what is the outcome? They have brought a 9 ocean action plan. Here, more than 800 volunteers has committed to this particular plan. So, let us see what are all the important plan they have accepted for. So, the first important thing is about governance. They have pushed for high water treaty. See, we all know about UN clause, right? So, UN clause, based on different nautical miles, we'll be having different governing rules, but there is no particular rule for the high sea that has been accepted by all the international organizations or the countries. So this is what they are calling it as the biodiversity beyond national jurisdiction, which in short called as BBNJ, which needed to be accepted by all the countries which governs the high seas. So we have to, this actually gives a push for high sea treaty. Secondly, 30 by 30 target, it expanded the marine protection area. See, this 30 by 30 target is nothing but preserving 30%, preserving or conserving 30% of land as well as ocean before 2030. So this is what the aim of this particular 30-30 target. So this actually enhances the target. Then the finances, 1 billion euro of UU fund, ocean fund will be provided. A total of US dollar, 10 billion of US dollar will be provided. Pollution, when we talk about pollution, the plastic treaty support has been given, and the Quiet Ocean Coalition has been brought up. And when we talk about the climate, the oceans in Paris Agreement has been actually talked about, and early warning systems, deployment of early warning systems has been suggested. And when we talk about science, more than 10,000 ship initiative has been talked about, and ocean accounting was also talked about in this particular event. Now moving on, now even though the decision has been made, there are certain challenges which required to be addressed. For example, the first thing is the underfunding. Only 6% of the needs has been met so far, which is due to the underfunding of the particular program, which needed to be addressed. Secondly, there is lot of climate stresses. For example, there is acidification happening, which is actually checking the conservation programs. Then there is sea level rise due to temperature variations, and there is heat. Not only the atmosphere, even the oceans are having heat waves currently. So these climatic stresses should be checked upon. Then there is very weak ratification. For example, this BBNJ treaty, only 50 states, approximately 50 states has been accepted to it. At least 2/3 of the countries should have to accept for this. And there is gap in monitoring and enforcement. Even though there are meeting which tells for plan, there should be a mechanism to monitor the implementation of that particular plan. So this is where we are having a challenge. The monitoring as well as the enforcement should be properly maintained. And finally, there is private sector hesitance due to regulatory gaps. Since there are a lot of regulatory gaps, the private sector are hesitant to participate in the event. Now, moving on, talking about India specific information. India, we have actually welcomed this particular ratification, and we have pledged for early ratification of the High Sea Treaty, and we have backed the Global Plastic Treaty as well. So we are giving the green signal for both the treaties, and this particular thing, it aligns with life, our blue economy, as well as deep ocean mission. And India has a lot of potential to leverage the technology and the community based fisheries when it comes to high seas. So these are all very important facts that you have to remember when we talk about this United Nations Ocean Conference. Based on the things we have discussed, I have framed the mains question for you. You can write an answer and post it in the comment section so that your peers can review it as well as we can correct it. Now, before concluding the video, I have to tell you about a scholarship that has been provided for Moksha test series. This Moksha test series is actually a mains test series, and it is exclusively, this scholarship is exclusively for candidates who have cleared Prelims 2025. So if you are interested, you can just contact this number to know about the particular scholarship. This particular program is very unique because the paper is set up by our expert faculties. You'll be provided with class discussions after every test, and there will be one-to-one discussion where the mentors will be guiding you, as well as the paper will be evaluated by faculties, mentors, as well as service candidates. So what are you waiting for? You can just register for this particular test. With this note, we came to the end of the news article discussion. If you like the video, hit like, to comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Now, thank you so much for listening.